Dragon Ball Evolution. That's the intro joke. Hey guys, MasakoX here. Now, Dragon Ball is one of the biggest parts of my life, if not the biggest. There is not a day that goes by where I'm not thinking about, looking at something, or even just talking about something Dragon Ball related. It's that infectious. It's gotten into my psyche, the merchandise, the brand, it's all in my head, and I don't give a damn. And I'm pretty sure that most of you don't either. So imagine the curiosity that I had at the tender old age of 21 that a Dragon Ball live action movie was going to be coming out in the West, from Hollywood no less. I went to my local theatre in April 2009, and instead of excitement and joy and pleasure and nostalgia, all I got was, confusion. I mean, I didn't detest the film, and I still don't to this day. I mean, it's so easy to just hate on this film without any reason or rationale because it's easy. But if you think about it, it got the fundamental point about Dragon Ball down. Goku and Bulma go on a quest to find the Dragon Balls to summon Shenron to grant a wish, and they're being chased by evil King/Lord Piccolo. There. In terms of adaptations, the most basic criteria has been met. Everything else, though, is a bit of a mess. Allow me to rattle off some of the issues that I have with this film. First off, Goku, or should I say Geeko, is not a socially awkward misfit, nor is he terrorized, misunderstood, bullied, nor does he actually want to go after girls. He's meant to be a self-assured country bumpkin who gets on with everyone, and at best, finds girls weird. In short, Goku is Goku, not Spider-Man. Yamcha's not supposed to be driven by money and a grade-A jerk. He's supposed to be a lonesome bandit who just wants to find a girl and get married someday. In this film, Piccolo really doesn't have a goal. Does he want to rule the world or just blow it up? It's really unclear, whereas in the original series, he just wanted to overthrow the world government and just rule as a king. Simple. And don't get me started on how they tried to whitewash Piccolo of all people. Piccolo. Oh, you think I'm kidding? That was one of the promotional stills. I remember that. And if it hadn't been for the likes of James Masters and backlash from the community, he would have stayed white. That green that you see in the film is CGI. Yeah. Now, I have plenty more issues about this film, but I'm not going to bore you with the details right now because I feel that they reflect the same issues that you have. In any case, Dragon Ball Evolution was doomed from the start, as a lot of what makes Dragon Ball is hard to translate to a Western medium. All that Eastern culture, philosophy, risque comedy and slapstick humor, that's not what American fans primarily signed up for. Now, I know that a lot of you are very learned people and you love Dragon Ball as much as I do. What fans at the time signed up for was the action, pure and simple. So why don't Hollywood execs just follow that argument? Because if that's what sells with American audiences, then just do more of the same! To hell with the original source material. Now, if it's only because of the action that you watch Dragon Ball Z, that's perfectly okay. That's what I used to think about Dragon Ball Z. It's only recently I've actually started to go in depth with the show, and I feel better for it, but if you just watch the action, that's perfectly fine. In recent years, I've grown to appreciate Toriyama's other work like Dr. Slump and Sandland. 7 years after the movie came out, the original screenplay writer Ben Ramsey opened up about his involvement, or lack thereof, with the production. And as it turns out, joined the production for all the wrong reasons. What do I keep telling you guys? This is just a clear example. Dragon Ball Evolution marked a very painful creative point in my life. To have something with my name on it as the writer be so globally reviled is gut-wrenching. I went into the project chasing after a big payday, not as a fan of the franchise, but as a businessman taking on an assignment. I've learned that when you go into a creative endeavor without passion, you come out with suboptimal results and sometimes flat-out garbage. So I'm not blaming anyone for Dragon Ball but myself. As a fanboy of other series, I know what it's like to have something you love and anticipate be so disappointing. Ramsey goes on to apologize for his actions, but when you actually read the original script that he wrote back in 2004, it was a lot better than what we got. I mean, it wasn't stellar, but it was possible. Thanks to Derek Padula for the source, by the way, and I'll include a link to that script in the description. The final script that we got took 6 drafts to complete, and Ben Ramsey wasn't involved in any of the subsequent drafts. Those drafts were written by producers, unnamed writers, and then signed off by James Wong, the movie's director. And he wasn't credited for it, because he chose not to be. I wonder why. As we saw with the final production, all the charm was just taken away. and all that Ben Ramsey took away was a $500,000 paycheck. Now remember kids, do projects because you want to, not because you're gonna get paid a lot. All of this is just another example of why Hollywood producers just don't get anime live action adaptations. But mind you, Japan doesn't always get it right either. So I suppose the next thing that you're thinking about is, what does Akira Toriyama think about all this? The show's original creator. Did he like it? Did he hate it? Did he actually show any kind of emotion towards it? Well, he did, and I'm about to go into that right now. Historically, Japanese writers don't speak out negatively towards a production for fear of reprisal and just out of respect. Toriyama doesn't give many interviews, especially about Dragon Ball Evolution, but the ones that he did give provide great insight into his thoughts about the production. Some are coded, some are outright blatant, and this is quite audacious for a Japanese writer. Big thanks to Kanzenshi for the provision of these sources, and you can check them out on their website. The first excerpt comes from Akira Toriyama's message to fans in the Japanese theatrical program of Dragon Ball Evolution. As the creator, as far as the scenario and characterization are concerned, I get a feeling of, what? But the director, everyone in the cast and the crew on set are ultra high caliber. With the power on set, perhaps it will even have become a great masterpiece. I am greatly anticipating it. So even before it came out, Toriyama just insulted the producers and the Hollywood execs, whilst leaving the cast and crew on set untouched. He clearly saw that the cast and crew did their best with what they were given from the higher-ups. He wasn't overly critical, he knew where to point it. But when you get to Battle of Gods 4 years later, he's a lot more blatant about his thoughts. Battle of Gods was greatly different from a certain country's live-action movie, which really was no good. Just as you would expect, Japan's animation is superb. Wow, shot across the bows then, eh? But it's still a little too indirect and brief. I think we can do better than that. And we can. Thanks to Asahi Shimbun Digital, Toriyama did another interview and he was asked about Dragon Ball Evolution. And here is that statement. At the time of the Hollywood movie, the script had too little of a grasp on the world and its characteristics, and on top of that, it had conventional content that I couldn't find interesting, so I cautioned them and suggested changes. But in spite of that, they seemed to have a strange confidence and didn't really listen to me. What came out in the end was, sure enough, a movie that I couldn't really call Dragon Ball. What you can infer from this is that Toriyama was isolated and iced out of production meetings by the Hollywood producers because he didn't toe the line as far as their ideas were concerned. Even though he's credited as a producer on the film, it seems to be just a ceremonial title. It sounds like he didn't really have much of a say on set. The higher-ups had a plan that they were going to stick to no matter what. It must have been a crushing disappointment for Toriyama because he's a huge fan of Hollywood films, especially sci-fi like Terminator, Alien and Star Wars. The opportunity to work on a Hollywood movie must have been so exciting and joyous. So for him to get isolated and ignored by the movie-making powerhouse that he loves so dearly is just so soul-destroying and really, really sad. He must have been absolutely gutted, but at the same time, empowered to press on with the Battle of Gods movie. Now to be fair, Dragon Ball Evolution wasn't a complete box office flop. It did make its money back. It had a budget of roughly $30 million and it made about $57 million worldwide. It wasn't a complete disaster, but it wasn't a success either. And there are plenty of conflicting sources about the budget. Some say it was $100 million, some say it was $50 million, some say it was 30. It's pretty much 30. It looks like $30 million when you compare it to other big Hollywood blockbusters. So if you throw budget cuts into the mix, no wonder this film was received so badly. And that sequel baiting at the end is ultimately pointless because no one's gonna make a second live action movie of Dragon Ball, especially when you see Battle of Gods and Resurrection F do so well and they're animated, so just do more of those. The moral of this story is that Dragon Ball Evolution never stood a chance. It was a movie run by committee with no love for the original source material nor the original creator. And worst of all for me, they turned Goku, who's a very identifiable and iconic character, into just another Spider-Man clone. As that was all the rage back in the late 2000s. Oh joy! Goku is completely generic now. I never thought anyone could do that. That was awful. But having said that though, if we never had Dragon Ball Evolution, we might never have had Battle of Gods, which then led into Resurrection F, and then led into Dragon Ball Super. What could have killed the franchise only made it stronger, so, Thanks, Dragon Ball Evolution? So what do you guys think? Do you think there could ever be a good live-action Dragon Ball Hollywood movie, or do you think it's just best left to the fans? Leave a comment below, and let's get this discussion going. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. Until the next one, be sure to like and subscribe. And until then, catch you later.